you check the children? Show a little match sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is what
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Bienvenidos, Fright fans, and welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Jaime and Fuego, so very stoked to be back, and we've been catching up on these for a little bit because we had the awesome opportunity, it's been 10 years now, of covering the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival as Presh, which is part of the Phoenix Film Festival. They work in conjunction with one another, both going down here in the deadly desert of Phoenix, Arizona. And so, yeah, guys, this is a film that I saw solo. Cecil, unfortunately, did not get the chance to check this one out with me, but it is entitled Dead Lava, and guys, this was legit one of the goofiest films that I saw, and I mean that in the best possible way, throughout the entirety of the festival. I had actually seen like some of the press photos, specifically one in particular of this like silly grimace on this like very pale blonde woman's face that was floating around on all of the different, you know, like horror outlets, Bloody and, you know, Fangoria and whatnot. But yeah, man, this film is something else. It comes from the twisted mind of Grace Glowicki, I believe her name is, and so she is like a Jane of all trades in this, man. She does directorial duties. She is the co-writer. She is the star. I mean, she is quite the impressive performer in this, and it's really a labor of love in the fact that it's a very small cast, and you have you know, just small segment of actors that are playing multiple roles throughout this, and it is a period piece. I mean, I guess it's kind of colonial. I can't say that I can pinpoint the approximate, but you know, based on the costuming and some of the other bits. But this is another, and there's been so many of these lately, of like a kind of Frankenstein sort of tale, but this one goes into I mean, as far as some of the sensibilities, I would say it's kind of on the Frankenhooker side, that very amusing Frank Henenlotter film. But yeah, man, Grace does a hell of a job as this lead in the movie, who overall thoughts, as we always say, I was immensely amused by this. You know, there is so much done with so little. I laughed my ass off. The humor is not going to be for everybody because it is crass. It is just very, it's got kind of a like, it's slapstick at times, it's deadpan at times, you know, it's you know, it's just silly as all hell, and I was here for it. I hate that phrase, but unfortunately I just utilized it, so there you go. But yeah, I was amused to death by this flick, man. And but you know, once again, it's very low budge. The costuming, I think at times, while convincing, is also deliberately kind of on that like farcical sort of sense and stuff. And so I don't know, man, some of the sets are like, you could tell they were working on these very small kind of lo-fi sort of sets, but from the graininess of the film grade to even the score, which goes all over the place, from like goofy 70s like porn funk at times. I mean, it's just such a funny and creative film, and it's definitely one that I recommend. I'm not sure if it's on the VODs as of this particular recording and stuff, but I would imagine it will be soon. You know, definitely made some noise on the festival circuit, so Grace did a great job with this one. Story is the fact that you have this woman who is a kind of smelly hermit grave digger of sorts that you know, is kind of the ridicule of those around her. And yet she ends up, you know, crossing paths with this kind of like debonair, poety sort of guy, and they have a very vivacious sort of love between the two of them. And this is a non-spoiler review, but he ends up going out on this journey, and he's writing her throughout, and you know, sending her letters and all this other stuff, and just the sexual aspect in this film is dialed up to 11 in the most hilarious sort of fashion. But yeah, he die, and he ends up, so she is trying to resurrect him, but then there's other pieces of other people that need to be used. Other pieces, yes, we do end up going there. Other genders eventually being used, and then there's like, it all starts to kind of compound upon one another. But then you have weird subplots of like the body that was used to bring back, you know, one portion of the dead lover, as the title implies. you have the subplot of the surviving lover of that corpse that was dug up going after, you know, our lead gravedigger. It's like, it all sounds a little convoluted, but it's actually all of these little subplots that eventually intertwine are they're handled pretty amusingly. And yeah, you've got, I mean, you've got so much cross-gender stuff going on, you know, males playing female characters and vice versa. It's all very transcendent. It's all very fluid is the word that I was searching for right there. I mean, you've got lesbian nuns, you've got, like, there's just so many different very I'm not gonna say grindhousey, but just of the very un-PC sort of stuff. This is not your family's Frankenstein sort of tale in any regards. And you know, for performance wise, like, back to Grace, she is amusing throughout. She's doing like this lispy kind of this voice that she is doing throughout the entirety of the film was just cracking me up. It may be grating for some, but I thought the delivery was hilarious. And you know, the way that the dialogue is written, you know, by her and I believe one of the other stars, Ben, something, I'm not going to search the IMDb during the review here, but her co-writer, I believe, is also one of the gentlemen who's playing multiple roles in this film as well. And so just their tandem of writing and the humor that they give the opportunity for these characters to kind of mess with in a lot of these really strange scenes throughout this film. Yeah, and you know, to the costuming and just the set design, even though it's low budge and, you know, lo-fi and looks very much like it's more so like being, it looks like a stage play come to life. But you know, not just with the costuming and everything, but like the lighting and the cinematography and the way that it was shot, there was still a lot of ambition. You know, there is mood lighting and fog and all this other stuff, you know, whether it's graveyard scenes or scenes that are supposed to be taking place on a ship with like fog rolling in as it's out, you know, like on the ocean and things like that. I mean, there's still a great deal that is done with obviously you know, meager funds to make this film. And that's where like some of the best creativity can be brought out, is when, you know, you just have to get really innovative with it. And it also helps that you have this charismatic lead, you know, in Grace, and just, you know, very sharp writing. And there's definitely some ad-libbing that seemed to be going on during some of these scenes as well. But since you have this small cast of people playing multiple roles, they have that chemistry with each other, regardless of which role they're like changing the costume or, you know, the mustache on a woman or whatever it is, you know. The gender bending aspect of all of this, which was definitely a thing back in, you know, olden years of performance over in Europe, especially in other parts of the world, you know, back in centuries past, where you had men playing women pretty consistently. Now, obviously, that wasn't fair, but you know, it goes both ways in this, which is just so fun. Yeah, and I mentioned the music a little bit. When there are some aspects of coitus going on, especially as certain appendages are being utilized, and there's a song that I was reacquainted with called Detachable Penis in this in the interim between when I saw this and when I'm shooting this review. It's a very amusing, almost spoken word comedy song from the 90s. This movie's fun as hell, man, but once again, the humor may not land for everybody. I don't even necessarily know if it would have landed for Cecil, but the silliness sung to me in this particular case. So that is my thoughts, guys, on from the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival, Dead Lava. And so, yes, I extend a grande gracias. I've been Jaime and Fuego. You can find Walt on all social media sectors, Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTubies, all the other tiki-talkies, threadies, all that silliness. But most importantly, have you guys had the opportunity to check out Dead Lava? And did you find the same amusement with it I did? Was it annoying as all hell? Because when I was walking out of the film, a couple of my buddies, you know, who I know who are fellow critics here in the Deadly Desert, they were not into this. They did not enjoy it at all. They thought it was dumb and annoying. But hey, that's why art is subjective, man. But Dead Lover is a recommend from me, everybody. So if you have seen it, comments below, you know the drill, liking, sharing. If you're coming upon this review just rando, do that subscribe thing, hit the bellio. It's greatly appreciated. So I've been Fuego, y'all have been Rad Status, and until next time, right fans, remember, stay scared.